Half a day everyone. For this video we're going to be covering applications of equations. So when we're working with word problems, it's helpful to break them up into expressions. And we can do so by identifying keywords and using the indicated operation. The most common keywords are the ones that are easiest to identify. For example, 4 plus 5, I know that's going to be addition. Something minus something, subtraction. 12 times 4 is multiplication. 20 divided by 5 is division. So these are some other ones. If I say find the sum of 4 and 5, it's addition. 12 increased by 2. Or you might see 12 more than 2. For subtraction, we can use the word difference, the difference between 4 and 5. 10 decreased by 7. Or you might hear 6 less than 5, which would be 5 minus 6. And then, of course, also subtracted from. 2 subtracted from 7. For multiplication, you'll hear the product of 6 and 4. For division, you'll hear the quotient of 20 and 2, which just means 20 divided by 2. It's important to note that for these particular ones that have the asterisk, more than, less than, subtracted from, they're written in reverse order. For example, if I was to have 6 more than 5, that would be 5 plus 6. 6 less than 2, it would be 2 minus 6. We write it in the opposite order. So the one that's mentioned first is going to be subtracted from the other one. It's going to be after. 1 subtracted from 10 would be 10 minus 1. Reverse order. For our first example, we'll look at some expressions that will convert to algebraic expressions. The sum of x and y I know is going to be addition, so it'll be just x plus y, very easy. The next one will be 3 more than 4. And we know more than is one of the ones that we write in reverse. So 4 is added to, or 3 is added to 4, so 4 plus 3. The difference of a and b, difference indicates subtraction, so it'll just be a minus b. 5 subtracted from z. Subtracted from is also in reverse, so that 5, I'm going to be subtracting from z. So minus 5 from z. The sum of m and 9 divided by n. So whenever you hear the sum, the difference, and there's other stuff included, for me, I'm always going to put parentheses. The sum, once I see that the sum, or the difference, the quotient, I put parentheses. So m plus 9, I know sum indicates addition. So we have m plus 9 within parentheses, divided by n. For the next one, we have twice the sum of s and t. And again, I see that sum. So that indicates I'm going to put s plus t within parentheses. And twice just means 2 times that. 2 times s plus t. The product of -3 and the difference of j and k. So -3 is going to be multiplied, because it's product. -3 is going to be multiplied to the difference between j and k. So the difference I'm going to find first, that's j minus k within parentheses, which I would then multiply to -3. 8 less than the quotient of e and f. Less than, I know, is going to indicate subtraction. The quotient is division, so I'll express that as a fraction. Okay, so 8 less than, that means I'm going to subtract 8 from something. So I put that minus 8, then I'm going to put that quotient of E and F right before it, E over F. So this one is definitely a skill that takes a little bit of practice, but the more that you do it and check your work, the easier it will be to find these different clues or cues that indicate certain expressions. For our next example, we're going to look at solving word problems. So there's certain things that you should do, but first let's look at our word problem. So 5 times an unknown number decreased by 8 is 22. What is the unknown number? So the first thing you need to do with word problems is to read the problem and make note of what it's asking you. So for this one, it's asking us, what is the unknown number? So the first thing I'm going to do after I do that is to assign the unknown number a variable. So typically we want to use x, right? Because we're used to using x. So x will be the unknown number. You'll also see let x be the unknown number, but you can just do this, x colon unknown number. From here, I'll just write an algebraic expression using the one that's given in the first sentence. 5 times an unknown number, I know that's going to be 5 times x, our variable that we used, decreased by 8, so it's minus 8, is 22. Whenever you see the word is, that means equal sign. 22. So once you have your equation, the next step would be to solve the equation and then present your answer in a sentence or to answer the question. So 5x minus 8 equals 22. I'll solve this. So I'm going to add 8 to both sides. 5x is equal to 30. Dividing by 5, we have x is equal to 6. Sorry, not 7, 6. And to give my final answer, we go back to the question, what is the unknown number? I can say the unknown number is 6. And of course, you can always check your work by substituting it back into the original. 5 times 6 decreased by 8 is 22. So 5 times 6 is 30. Minus 8 is 22, and that's correct. For our next example, of course, we have another word problem. The width of a rectangle is 6 inches less than the length. What are the length and width if the perimeter is 40 inches? First thing I do, I know I'm looking for the length and the width. I'm defining my variables. So L will be my length. W I'll use for width. And this first sentence actually gives me an equation. the width of the rectangle is 6 inches less than the length. So we know that the width, W, is 6 inches less than. So I already know I'm going to be subtracting 6 from something else. 6 inches less than the length. So this is our first equation that we have here. If the perimeter is 40 inches, there's a certain equation for perimeter, and perimeter is just 2 times the length plus 2 times the width. And to solve a equation, you have to have one variable. So see that I have both PL and W here. I'm going to try to fill in what I can so that I only have one variable. P I know is going to be equal to 40. 2L plus 2W. Here I still have two different variables, but since W is defined to be L minus 6, I'm going to actually instead put L minus 6 instead of W. So since they're equal, they can substitute each other. So 40 is equal to 2 times L plus 2 times L minus 6. From here, I'll just solve for L. So we have 2L plus 2 times L minus 6. I'll distribute this 2. So 40 is equal to 2L plus 2L. 2 times negative 6, I know is going to be minus 12. From here, we'll combine all the variable terms. So 2L plus 2L is 4L. Minus 12 is equal to 40. Adding 12 to both sides, we have 52 is equal to 4L. And dividing both sides by 4, we're left with L is equal to 13. So if L is equal to 13, I know the measurement, the units are inches, so the length is 13 inches. And if the length is 13 inches, the width is going to be 6 inches less than that, right? So the width, W, is equal to L minus 6. So 13 minus 6, which is 7. So we have W is equal to 7. And we always want to attach that unit right there, inches. Another way to put this would be to write it in a complete sentence. The length of the rectangle is 13 inches, and the width is 7 inches. However, just identifying L equals 13 inches, W equals 7 inches is fine, as long as you have those units. Next, we want to talk about consecutive integers. This is something that you'll see come up in word problems. So when I say consecutive integers, it just means integers that follow one another in order. So when I say that, I mean examples of consecutive integers are 1, 2, 3. Or 10, 11, 12. So those are 3 consecutive integers. It could also be like -5, -4, -3. So we're always going from left to right, right? And consecutive integers, if they're unknown, you want to represent them as the following. So the first integer will be x. The second integer will be just after it, so it would be x plus 1. And the one after that would be x plus 1 plus 1, right? So it would be x plus 2 for the third integer. And this is something that we'll use in some examples to follow this. But first I want to go into consecutive even or odd integers. So these are still in order, but now instead for our first one, it's going to be x. The one following it is going to be x plus 2, because you're always skipping one, right? So if we have consecutive even, it would be 4, 6, 8. Consecutive odd will be 5, 7, 9. So we're always jumping from one, skipping another one, right? We're skipping one, going to the other. So the second will be x plus 2. And for the third, x plus 4. We skip another 2 added to that. So these are the basic ones. These are important to note, remember. So this and this. And we'll get into these word problems using this in the next page. For example 4, there are 2 consecutive integers such that twice the first integer minus the second integer is 8. What are the integers? First thing I want to do again is define my variables. I know it's talking about 2 consecutive integers, so the first one will be x. My second integer will be x plus 1. Next, I'll write the equation. So I see here twice the first minus the second is 8. So 2 times the first integer, 2 times x minus the second one. I'm going to put it in parentheses. X plus 1 is 8 equals 8. From here, we would just solve. So I'm going to distribute this negative sign. 2x minus 1 is equal to 8. Combining like terms, we have 2x minus x, which is just x minus 1 equals 8. We'll add 1 to each side. X is equal to 9. So I know that our first integer is 9. The second one is x plus 1. So I know the second one's going to be 9 plus 1, which is 10. So from here, I'll just write my answer in a sentence. So I know the 2 integers are 9 and 10. And of course, you can always make sure by plugging into the original equation that you got or checking to see if it matches the first sentence. For our next example, we have another one talking about consecutive integers. There are 3 consecutive odd integers such that the sum of the first 2 integers is equal to 4 times the third. What are the integers? So since this is asking us, again, what are these integers, and I know it's going to be the consecutive odd integers, I'm going to first identify them. So x will be our first integer. For our second, let me actually write this in the other way around. The second, and these are odd integers, so I'm skipping 1, so it would be x plus 2. The third will be x plus 4. This is what we've defined before. We'll use these. Now we'll set up an equation using this first sentence. There are 3 consecutive odd integers such that the sum of the first two is equal to 4 times the third. The sum of the first two, so we have x plus 2 is equal to 4 times the third. So 4 times x plus 4. And we'll just do our distributions and combining like terms in order to solve for x. So we have x plus 2 is just 2x plus 2. Then we have 4 times x plus 4, which is just 4x plus 16. Okay, putting all the x's to one side of the equation, I'll move it to the left side, so minus 4x minus 4x. So we have negative 6, or negative 2x, sorry. And when I subtract 2 from each side as well, negative 2x is equal to 14. Dividing both sides by negative 2, we have x is equal to negative 7. I know this is my first term, so the first one is negative 7, or the first integer. The next one is going to be the next odd from there, so adding 2 to that, we have negative 5. And then after that is going to be negative 3. But once you identify the first one, you don't even need to do this x plus 2, x plus 4. As long as you just name the odd integers in order, you should find it. So we have negative 7, negative 5, negative 3. And of course, it's always a good example to check it after you find your answer just to make sure.